Hello friends, we are in the Gospel of Matthew today, chapter 9. At the end, Jesus heals two blind men who come to him. And as Jesus passed on from there, two blind men followed him, crying out, "Son of David, have pity on us." When he entered the house, the blind men approached him, and Jesus said to them, "Do you believe that I can do this?" "Yes, Lord," they said to him. Then he touched their eyes and said, "Let it be done for you according to your faith." And their eyes were opened. Jesus warned them sternly, "See that no one knows about this." But they went out and spread the word all the more throughout the land. And that is the miracle story for today. Miracles like this were very common in Jesus' ministry. Both throughout all four Gospels, Jesus does countless miracles, and these were just the ones that were recorded. So everyone who knew this Messiah, and they knew he was from the line of David. That's why they reach out, they follow him, they find out he's near, and two blind men. Now, that was also kind of an interesting point. Those who were blind stuck around. They stuck together in community because I think it was just natural. Lepers, banded together, and that's how they had community, was from other lepers. They were outside on the outskirts of town. Those who were blind, they weren't exactly sentenced as exiles from the community, but they definitely would stick together because they'd help each other. And whether they were begging at the gate or they were making their way around the inner city or Jerusalem in general, they would hear things. They would hear the news. Everyone talked. Just imagine how a world without the phone, people conversed and they visited and they shared news, stories. They laughed. This was commonplace, daily, as it gets. This was as daily as it gets. Well, they find out Jesus is near, and they call out to him. They don't know where he is. That's why they're calling out. They're hoping that he hears them. And so they're yelling and yelling. They must have found out he was near. They followed him when they found out he was near, and they kept yelling and yelling. And so in another gospel, one of the different gospels, the same scene, which is shared with Mark and Luke, the disciples they don't yell, but they chase him away, and then they tell Jesus, they're like, go away, tell them to go away. They were yelling and following to the point where they were annoying the disciples. And so Jesus tells them to come here. He asks them the same question: "Do you believe that I can do this?" Because they want to be healed, and they say yes. They say yes, and then he touches them. So it's how miracles work. Intention. What are you praying for? What is it? Is it cancer? Do you want to be free of cancer? That's your prayer. It has to come from your heart, and it has to be based on the faith required to have a miracle from Jesus Christ. He knows your faith. He can read your heart. He knows how much you have or how little you have. So Jesus grants them their request. He pegs the question, "Do you believe I can do this?" They say yes, and their eyes are opened because he touched them. God can do that. In another scene from another gospel, Jesus spits in some mud and makes a paste, puts that in the blind man's eyes. Here's a different scene with two blind men. He heals them, their eyes are opened, but he warns them not to tell anyone. Now, theologians would have argued, and I've had this conversation many times with seminarian brothers when we were in formation. Was Jesus really telling them not to say anything? Or was he planting the seed of, for his word to spread? Was he, knowing human behavior, knowing that if he told them, don't tell anybody? Some people have a weakness to that. Some people just can't help but tell someone, especially when you're children. you're making promises and then you don't keep them. And I think that's just human nature 101. But does he tell them because he really doesn't want anyone to know? Or does he tell them because he wants them to spread the miracle that happened, which annoys the Pharisees and the leaders because they don't want this miracle guy changing anything. They call him radical, they call him a blasphemer. And is Jesus trying to spread his name? I don't know. I think it's all above. I think he doesn't want to be known, but he also knows they're going to tell. And so he wants his name to rise without him doing it himself, because he wants to come across as humble, under the radar still. He doesn't want... So his faith, it's pretty... what's the word? It is very, very clever, if this is Jesus' intention. If he really doesn't want the attention, but he wants his name spread, this is a perfect way to do it, is cure 2 blind men that the whole community knows are blind. Then have people ask questions, and they know they're blind, then they're not blind, so it's going to get everyone's attention and curiosity. And when they ask and they're not supposed to tell, only adds to the mystery. I think it's in God's wisdom that he's doing all this the way he's doing it, because the outcome is ultimately, they still don't really know who this person is, but his name is spread even more, same way that they heard that he was passing through, same way that they knew he was in the line of David. So there's a lot going on here in this small section. And so, they have the faith. He tells them don't spread it, but they went out and spread word of him throughout all the land, so it didn't work. Was it his intention or not? Who knows? But it's just a really powerful scene of faith, miracles associated with Jesus by his touch, and his name getting spread everywhere. It's fame without seeking the fame. The mystery of it all just confounds the community, and it's one of many, many miracles in the Gospels, and this one is in Matthew 9. And it does what I think it does what God intended. He then heals a mute person right after this. So more people are coming. And then the compassion of Jesus right before chapter 10 there's a section on why Jesus is curing. He's also, he just cured before the 2 blind men, the woman with the hemorrhage, who had been suffering for 12 years. Before that, the healing of the paralytic, and before the call of Matthew, the healing of the demoniac and Gerasene demoniac, other healings, cure of Peter's mother-in-law, the healing of the centurion's servant. This is just in the last 2 chapters after the Beatitudes, the Mount of Beatitudes. So this is in the 3rd section, Ministry and Mission of Galilee, chapter 8, 9, 10, 12, 11, 12. Lots of miracles. And this is what Jesus is really trying to put his foot out there, get his name out there, spread the word. Those who need healing, miraculous healing, like those who are mute, deaf, they're the one doing the ministry, which I think is really cool. They're the ones, those who were miraculously healed, are doing the ministry of Jesus Christ, and the leaders of Pharisees and Jews and leaders, scribes, and they don't like it at all. So I think it's brilliant of Jesus.